We are all fans of someone. Even despite the fact that most of these people don't know who we are, we spend our time watching and commenting under their posts, congratulating them about their new house or their new relationships. And sometimes we don't even mind spending some money on concert tickets or merch. But some people find it fun to spend thousands of dollars to purchase a fan call with one of their favorite K-pop idols, who will most likely forget everything about the call an hour later. Yay! Welcome to the super fun world of parasocial relationships, where these smiles and faces on our screens are slowly making us broke. And today I'm using my marketing degree to break down how these celebrities, influencers, and the K-pop industry create these parasocial relationships, and how, if we're not careful, we might end up spending huge sums of money on things that our digital best friends, who have no idea we exist, told us to buy. My name is Marvin, and I'm your favorite marketing student and part-time video essayist living in France, and you're watching Mars Magazine. Remember, all opinions and takes in this video are for educational and commentary purposes only. Girl, like most buzzwords we hear going around today with things like gaslighting and the butterfly effect, parasocial relationships are another thing that we don't usually have a proper definition of. A parasocial relationship can be defined as a one-sided connection to a figure who is unaware of the other person's existence. And even though today this parasocial relationship concept and word is used to describe relationships that we have with celebrities and influencers, it can also be used to describe relationships with political figures and fictional characters, aka me and my obsession with Daenerys Targaryen. This term was coined by two researchers in the 1950s, and today in our online lingo, when we use the term parasocial relationship, we directly start getting vibes of Joe Goldberg and just creepy vibes, basically. But most of us are naturally partaking in these parasocial relationships because of who we are as human beings. And I mean, listen, if you think you're immune from these relationships, trust me, it is basically impossible in this day and age to not have some kind of parasocial relationship, because that's just who you are as a human being. And if you've ever posted online, you most likely have people who have parasocial relationships with you. An article from Harvard Health Publishing says that we have evolved to live in groups, and so we instinctively just bond with others after being exposed to them for some time, even if these people are just words on a page or pixels on a screen. The thing is, they are not always negative, with some parasocial relationships even being able to inspire us or even educate us on certain topics. Like the boy with the afro talking to you right now. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support me, make sure to like right now and to subscribe so you keep on seeing my content. Anyways, parasocial relationships can also bring a sort of comfort into our lives, but most of us are neglecting the huge financial impact that they can have on our lives. Apart from the fact that parasocial relationships can get you to spend all of your time checking in on your faves through social media, they can also get you to change your emotions and feelings on certain things and thus push you to purchase services and products. A 2023 paper by Josephine Yee tells us that parasocial relationships can get us to trust influencers more, it can get us to judge less harshly the sponsored posts that they make, and it can get us to buy or recommend the brands that they are promoting. And even though we can be certain that they're purposefully weaponizing parasocial relationships to get us to buy more things, most of these influencers and celebrities are doing things to reinforce these, parasocial relationships and thus get us to spend more money. Celebrities have always used the love that their fans have for them to sell us one thing or another. I mean, it's the basic backbone of celebrity endorsements, where celebrities associate their image with a brand or a product in hopes that their fans will later go on and buy that brand or product. These celebrities, and by extension influencer ads, have always paid really, really big money, but it seems like it isn't enough for them anymore. When it comes to our faves, and especially our favorite musicians, I think it's only natural that we want to spend money on concert tickets to actually go and watch these concerts and listen to these songs that usually have had huge impacts on our lives. And I mean, obviously, going to a concert is a luxury and a privilege, but it seems like these celebrities have been taking the luxury aspect of things and taking it a little bit too far, with ticket prices just constantly going up to amounts that are literally unbelievable. And people even accusing certain platforms of applying dynamic pricing, where basically ticket prices vary based on the live and direct demand on their platform. Despite this, platforms like Ticketmaster have directly come out to say that they do not apply dynamic pricing on their website. And as people are literally pulling out their hair because they're literally so upset with these new ticket prices, it seems like celebrities and influencers are constantly trying to figure out new ways to constantly milk us of all our money. With, for example, the constant launching of celebrity brands. I mean, we all basically saw the rise of all these celebrity makeup brands in the last couple of years. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Fenty. I love me some Fenty all the way. But it seems like some fans can feel pressured because of their love to these celebrities to purchase these celebrity products. And obviously, since most of these brands aren't really affordable, you can end up losing large sums of money in the process. This is basically how things have been in the Western market, where they basically use their parasocial relationships to sell us their brands, concert tickets, and merch. But I was literally gagged to discover how much the Korean K-pop industry has been trying to use every technique in the book to continue profiting off of the parasocial relationships that fans have. And I think 3 things that illustrate this all the way are private chatting apps, fan calls and signings, and photo card collections. Let's start with private chatting apps. If you guys have never heard of them, there are apps that exist to quote unquote communicate with your favorite K-pop idols. These are apps like Bubble and Universe where fans can pay, obviously, to get private messages from their K-pop biases. These apps try everything to make it seem like a one-on-one discussion with these K-pop idols, but obviously, as you've guessed it, that's literally impossible. What's most likely going on is basically a whole Santa letter system where, just like we write letters to Santa in hopes that he would write us back, he never does. Or if he does write us back, it's a collective message for all the people who are subscribed to the platform. These technologies and apps are a very obvious way to continue creating these relationships between fans and K-pop idols in hopes of obviously selling more albums when the albums do come out. Another thing that is really helping to sell these albums when they do come out is the photo card collection system or habit or whatever you want to call it. When purchasing different albums, you basically have a chance to get a small photo of your K-pop bias. This obviously drives people to purchase a huge amount of albums in hopes of completing their photo card collections. And once they've finished their photo card collection that obviously never seems to end, they can continue purchasing albums to win a chance at having a fan call or a fan signing with their K-pop groups or biases. The concept of fan calls evolved from fan signings. Obviously, fan signings are events where you can go and get your album signed by your favorite K-pop groups or, K-pop idols. Fan calls kind of evolved from this concept where you get to meet them but through your phone and obviously through a call. These fan calls and fan signings work with a raffle system where basically by purchasing albums, you're constantly buying tickets in some kind of raffle to win basically the golden ticket that allows you to go on a call with one of your faves. And obviously, as any raffle system would have it, this gets people to spend upwards of thousands of dollars to get the final golden ticket. With many people who do chase these opportunities being very vocal about the fact that most of the time they have to get part-time jobs or, work extra hours to be able to finance these calls. And obviously, all this selling that they're doing got me to wonder. I don't know why I just did that, but it got me to wonder how these celebrities, influencers, and the K-pop industry goes about, strengthening these bonds. Like, what are they using to do this? And obviously, being the nosy, nosy guy that I am, I went and did my digging, and here's what I found. Obviously, when talking about how they create and strengthen these parasocial relationships, it would be possible for me to go on for hours and hours because there's so many different ways to do it. And so that's why I decided to focus on some, key important strategies that they use. First one of which is relatability. Despite nearly all these celebrities and influencers having millions or even billions of dollars in the bank, they never seem to stop saying how they're so relatable and how they're just like us. And this can take on many, many, many forms, with one of them being the very common storyline of rags to riches. These stories usually follow the same plot, where at the beginning they were going through it, they had love life issues, they were poor, they were working a job that they didn't like, and then somehow they managed to make it big and now they're famous and basically living heaven on earth. These types of stories usually get us to relate because most of us are usually going through similar problems in our lives. Another way they promote this relatability is with famous types of content, such as Get Ready With Me's or, a day in my life content. For celebrities, this can also take the form of house tour content, where they basically go around showing us their houses, like with the famous Vogue series, where basically people take you around their house, obviously. By seeing little glimpses into their houses, we get this feeling that they're just like us. And obviously, the similarity ends at them having a bathroom and a kitchen, because girl, have you seen the prices of their houses? The next thing that they use to craft these parasocial bonds is attractiveness. And I'm sure what directly comes to your mind is pretty privilege. And obviously there is an aspect of pretty privilege, but it doesn't end at that. Obviously it plays a part, but there is also social attractiveness, aka their personalities. Is this someone who is nice and likes socializing, or like someone who has a cozy personality that makes you want to be their friend in real life? On top of social attractiveness, there is also task-based attractiveness. And this is basically how helpful they are. Is this a celebrity that has helped you through tough times through their music, or an influencer who has helped you not get cakey makeup? That is task-based attractiveness. After helping us, we usually feel some kind of debt towards them, and this is closely tied to a concept called reciprocity, where when someone gives us something, we directly kind of feel this need to pay them back. And it's basically why people give free samples, because they know by giving you a free sample, you're most likely gonna feel the pressure to actually buy the product that they gave you a free sample of. Well, unless you're broke like me, where I just take the food and leave, basically. By basically helping us with different subjects in our lives, like, applying makeup with makeup influencers, or, cooking good recipes with kitchen and, food-based influencers, we start to take them as authorities in their fields. And this gives them even more of an influence on our lives. Remember, authority is something that can be signaled and faked. By us going onto someone's page and seeing that, their makeup is flawless, they have a beautiful studio, their eyelashes look good, we start to think that they might be an authority in this field. An authority that is telling us the truth, obviously. It's basically like someone dressing up as a police officer. Unless you purposefully asked for some paperwork, you would just assume they were a police officer, And finally, they use their familiarity to build their parasocial relationships even more. Remember what I said, by them basically showing up every day on our For You pages, on our Spotify playlists, we slowly start to get accustomed to them. We start to feel like their faces and their voices are a part of our lives, just like the voices of our neighbors or the faces of our friends. This is also a strategy that we can especially see at play with Easter egg culture, where celebrities and other creatives basically share hidden messages in their music and in their creative endeavors that only their quote-unquote true fans will be able to find. This gives their audience this kind of, guys, look what I found moment that makes them feel special and that makes them feel like they really know these artists. And these also give huge publicity to these celebrities and artists because people spend a lot of time, engaging in discussions on things like Twitter by basically saying, okay, is this actually an Easter egg? What does it mean? People are having really long discussions and giving them free publicity. If I could basically end off with something, it would be the fact that you need to be very aware that we live in a world that is very digital and where it's very easy for us to build parasocial relationships with celebrities, K-pop idols, and influencers. And despite the fact that these aren't necessarily always negative, they can be. We need to be aware that we are naturally forming these relationships and that sometimes some of these celebrities, influencers, or even the K-pop industry reinforces them with the goal of selling more albums or for selling more things in general. Obviously, they could get us to spend our money on things that actually bring value into our lives, like music that really heals us, or a concert that we've always dreamed of. Or they could sell us some kind of rubbish that basically only fuels our consumerism. Like I said, parasocial relationships are not always bad, but if you feel that they're leading you away from the true connections in your lives or having deep consequences on your finances, then maybe it might be time to step back. Anyways, I'll see you next week. Bisous, au revoir. Hi gorgeous, it's me. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, here's a video I think you might really enjoy.